Hi, I am S. Madhukiran, Faculty for General Awareness, General Knowledge and Current Affairs. So, today we are going to discuss the current affairs of January 2018. So, in this class, we will cover January 1st to 10th of current affairs, the first 10 days of current affairs. And the first one is persons in news. In this persons in news, we will be studying about appointments. Okay. So, in the January 2018, the 1st of 2018, the Union government has appointed Vijay K. Gokhale. So, Vijay K. Gokhale was appointed as new Foreign Secretary of India by ACC. The Appointments Committee of the Cabinet, which is chaired by Prime Minister Narendra Modi, has selected Vijay Keshav Gokhale as the new Foreign Secretary of India, replacing S. Jaishankar. So, the Foreign Secretary is the highest post in Ministry of External Affairs. And coming to this Vijay Gokhale, so earlier he was served as Secretary in the Ministry of External Affairs, and from 2016 to 17 he was the ambassador, Indian ambassador to China, and from 2013 to 2016 he served as Indian ambassador to Germany. So, having a very good knowledge about Chinese language or Mandarin language. So, Vijay Gokhale has played a key role in solving the issue of Doklam Plateau. As you all having awareness, in the year 2017, there was a little clash between this Doklam Plateau. So, which is laid in the tri-junction of Sino, India and Bhutan boundaries. Okay. From India, we can say Doklam is at the north of Sikkim. So, Sikkim, which is called as chicken neck of India. So, there Doklam issue was solved, okay, so where the bilateral agreements were signed between India and China, and the person Vijay Gokhale has played a key role in this. So, having a seniority in Ministry of External Affairs and as a senior diplomat, he was appointed as the new Foreign Secretary. And the next person appointed is ex-RAW Chief Rajendra Khanna. So, Research and Analysis Wing ex-chief Rajendra Khanna was appointed as new Deputy National Security Advisor. And this person is well known as father of counter terrorism, where he played a very key role in intelligence, led many intelligence and spy operations. So, as this person was appointed as Deputy National Security Advisor, and the National Security Advisor for India is Ajit Doval. So, remember two names here, National Security Advisor Ajit Doval and the deputy to him, National Security Advisor, is Rajendra Khanna. And the very important another important third appointment is K. Sivan. K. Sivan is appointed as the chairman of ISRO. So, new chairman of ISRO is K. Sivan, replacing A.S. Kiran Kumar. So, all these three persons were appointed by ACC, Appointments Committee of the Cabinet, which is chaired by Prime Minister Narendra Modi. So, K. Sivan, earlier he was the senior scientist in ISRO as well as director for Vikram Sarabhai Space Center, okay, in Tumbe of Kerala. So, at present, as a chairman, he will also serve as secretary to the Ministry of Space. So, for the Department of Space, he serves as secretary as also chairman to the ISRO. So, who else will be the chairman of ISRO will be the secretary for Department of Space. Okay. So, remember these three names: Vijay K. Gokhale, Rajendra Khanna and K. Sivan. And coming to K. Sivan, he will have a term of 3 years. Next, since 2015, he is serving as director of Vikram Sarabhai Space Center, and he is best known as rocket scientist or rocket expert, the person behind India's sending 104 satellites in one go, which was happened in February 2017. So, he is the person behind the success of 104 satellites sending by ISRO to space. Okay. So, remember K. Sivan, who is a chairman of ISRO. Coming to other national current affairs, we are having a awareness about Saubhagya Yojana. So, Jharkhand CM Raghubar Das launches Saubhagya Yojana, which came into effect from 1st January 2018. So, the main aim of Saubhagya Yojana is to provide 24/7 electricity to the whole Jharkhand state by December 2018. In this scenario, the CM Raghubar Das has stated that total 29,376 villages to be covered under this Saubhagya Yojana, that is to provide 24/7 electricity. And another national affairs is Arunachal Pradesh declared as the 5th open defecation free state of India. So, in January 2018, the first 10 days of January 2018, the most important one is the Arunachal Pradesh state was declared as the 5th open defecation free state of India. Under Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, the Swachh Bharat mission ranks the states according to the cleanliness. In this scenario, the first state to be declared as ODF, open defecation free state, is Himachal Pradesh, followed by second rank Kerala, and the third to Haryana, and the fourth to Sikkim. So, in the examination these kind of questions will be asked. It may be which state ranks second in ODF or third in ODF. Fine. So, if at all the question is like this, which is the first northeastern state to be declared as open defecation free state, the answer should be Sikkim. And the second northeastern state to declared open defecation free is Arunachal Pradesh. Another current affairs is GAIL, Gas Authority of India Limited, which is a Maharatna company, a public sector undertaking company which stands one of the Maharatna company of India, which is headquartered in New Delhi, has commissioned India's second largest rooftop solar plant. It's Uttar Pradesh based GAIL's petrochemical complex Pata of Uttar Pradesh. So, in the GAIL office of Uttar Pradesh at Pata city, a second largest rooftop solar plant was installed with a capacity of 5.76 megawatts, and it stands the second largest rooftop in India. So, therefore, which is the first largest rooftop solar plant and where it is installed? It is Amritsar in Punjab during 2015, which is having a total of 12 megawatts peak of installation capacity. So, Amritsar, Punjab having the largest rooftop, and the second largest is Pata, Uttar Pradesh by GAIL, Gas Authority of India Limited, one of the public sector undertaking which is categorized under Maharatna status. So, out of 8 Maharatnas, GAIL is one. So, there is a possibility of question from any side. Next, coming to solar energy. So, solar energy is a renewable energy, and currently it is one of the fastest growing industry in India. As you might be aware, by the 2017 or since 2015 onwards, okay, so India is achieving a lots of milestones in solar energy, in producing solar energy. The actual target for India to produce solar energy was 20 gigawatts. So, 20 gigawatts to be achieved by 2022, but 4 years ahead, in the year 2018 itself, the Ministry of Renewable Energy Sources has given a statement that they have achieved 20 gigawatts in 2018 for solar energy. Now, they are moving towards achieving 100 gigawatts by 2022. And coming to the world, the total installed capacity of solar energy is 303 gigawatts. So, India to achieve 20 that is 100 gigawatts by 2022. So, solar energy is a renewable energy, there is no pollution from this solar energy, unlike coal or nuclear kind of productions. So, therefore, and coming to another initiative, ISA, International Solar Alliance, ISA, International Solar Alliance, was signed by PM Modi and ex-French President Francois Hollande in January 2016. So, ex-French President Francois Hollande, when he arrived India in Jan 2016, there was a bilateral talks between Prime Minister Narendra Modi and the French counterpart and the French President. The main objective of ISA, International Solar Alliance, is to bring the countries which are lying in between Tropic of Cancer and Tropic of Capricorn. So, above the equator it is Tropic of Cancer and below the equator it is Tropic of Capricorn. So, both are at 23 and of north and 23 and of south respectively. The nations which ever lies between these tropics, that is tropical nations, like 120 nations or 120 members has signed, has ratified the ISA. So, all these lies, okay, in these tropics has committed to change from the nuclear or thermal or hydral to solar energy. Okay. So, all these developments are based from COP21 Paris Summit. Top solar producing states in India are Rajasthan, Punjab and Uttar Pradesh. So, also Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, Maharashtra. So, these also produces the solar energy. So, coming to France, you see at present the President of France is Emmanuel Macron, and recently he made a visit to India, had some bilateral talks between the French and India. So, whenever there is a bilateral talks between India and France, So, the main issue now is solar power. So, France is the largest country which produces solar in the world. Nearly 80% of energy provided by France to its citizens is through solar. So, therefore, we are in agreement with France, okay, to get technology in collaboration to install the solar batteries in India or rooftop panels in India. So, France is providing 100% support for this. So, we can just eliminate pollution, or we can just eradicate some kind of diseases due to this pollution. Okay. And moreover, India, which is lying in the tropics, will have nearly 48 degrees of temperature, and coming to France, it is just 26 degrees. So, it may be maximum of 30 degrees, but India is having maximum of 48 degrees. So, even then solar energy is fifth contribution to India, being first is thermal energy, second hydro energy, then third is tidal energy, wind energy, solar energy, and the final one is nuclear energy. Okay. So, all this you just remember it. And coming to solar, we are having 20 gigawatts of power producing. So, we are going to achieve 100 gigawatts by 2022. Actual 2022 was the target for 20 gigawatts, but we achieved 4 years ahead. So, therefore, this might be a question in the examination regarding the energy. Following next. So, why this 2022 2019? Okay. So, 2019 I said you that it is a 150th birth anniversary of Mahatma Gandhi, and coming to 2022 it is a 75th anniversary year of Quit India movement. So, just we will go into the history right now. So, Quit India movement was launched by Mahatma Gandhi with a slogan, do or die, and this was launched on 9th of August 1942. So, on 8th of August 1942, Mahatma Gandhi addressed to the people, nation, okay, regarding the launching of Quit India movement on 9th August 1942. But due to home arrest, this Quit India movement lacked leadership. So, therefore, the people and also the leaders of INC, Indian National Congress, so all have gathered and raised slogans against British Indian government, stating that it must be celebrated as August Kranti Divas. So, on 9th August it was called as August Kranti Divas. Okay. So, and Quit India movement has given a great energy for achieving independence for India. So, for the year 2022, so we are going to celebrate it as 75 years of Quit India movement. And also next, another current affairs national issue is Ministry of Home Affairs has declared entire the state of Nagaland under disturbed area. So, disturbed area is being declared under AFSA. Okay. So, Ministry of Home Affairs has declared the entire state of Nagaland under disturbed area for 6 more months from January 2018. So, it will end up by June 2018 itself. So, under section 3 of AFSA Act 2003, recent Act 2003. So, the central government or Ministry of Home Affairs can declare any state under disturbed area if there is a continuous violence, killings or extortions, etc. And regarding to this AFSA, AFSPA, Armed Forces Special Powers Act, this was first initiated in the year 1958 in Naga Hills of Assam state, and currently Naga Hills is in Nagaland after creation of Nagaland as separate state. So, in 1958 there was a severe violence in Naga Hills of Assam, due to which the Ministry of Home Affairs has initiated AFSA, giving extra powers to the army or the policemen to control the violence or to bring the violence in calm. So, here the AFSA will be given additional powers to shoot to kill order. They can shoot anyone to kill the person. So, this AFSA currently are in 6 states, that is Arunachal Pradesh, Nagaland, Manipur and Meghalaya, also in Assam and Jammu and Kashmir. So, these 6 states are completely under the control of army and police. So, AFSA has complete rights to shoot to kill order, okay, in these 6 states: Assam, Arunachal Pradesh, Nagaland, Manipur and Meghalaya. In these 6 sister, except Tripura and Mizoram, the states were covered, and also the Himalayan state of Jammu and Kashmir to fight with the terrorists. And coming to this Arunachal Pradesh, only 3 districts are covered, which may asked in the UPSC, TSPSC or APPSC exams for group 1, group 2 categories. So, what are the 3 districts comes under AFSA? So, it is Tirap, Changlang and Longding. Tirap, Changlang and Longding. So, these are the 3 districts comes under AFSA of Arunachal Pradesh. Next, the main problem with Manipur and Nagaland, that is National Highway 39, which will be under disturbed area. So, because of Naga tribes in this highway, so this Nagaland tribal council people will interrupt the national highway nearly n number of times in a year, so that the transportation of people as well as goods and services will be interrupted. And also this National Highway 39 comes under the Trans-Asian Highway number 1, which connects the neighboring country of Myanmar. So, if it is interrupted, the bilateral or cooperation between the India and Myanmar will get disturbed. So, keeping in that view, so the Armed Forces Special Powers Act will take necessary actions to control the violence. And very interesting is, in September 2017, the Assam state government has extended AFSA for 6 more months, means from September to February. This AFSA is being extended by the state government. This is the first time a state government has taken such an action. So, till now AFSA was completely against to the states, and even the states of Assam, West Bengal, Nagaland, Arunachal Pradesh, Jammu and Kashmir, okay, they never support it, but in the year 2017 for the first time the Assam state has given a notices for the extent of Armed Forces Special Powers Act for 6 more months. And the final one is regarding when we speak about this AFSA, we need to speak about Iron Chanu Sharmila also. So, Iron Chanu Sharmila was known as Iron Lady of India. She belongs to Manipur. In Manipur, she is best known as Main Gobi. Okay. She is the person who has served the longest hunger strike in the world. So, the first longest survived hunger strike person in the world is Iron Chanu Sharmila, and recently she has given up her hunger strike and joined the politics, but unfortunately in the recent 2017 elections she lost the seat, and she is continuing as a human rights activist. Next, so coming to the another national affairs like schemes of India, a new schemes were launched like Union government completes phase 1 of Bharat Net project under Digital India program. So, under as an initiative of Digital India, Bharat Net project to cover nearly 2.5 lakh gram panchayats by March 2019. So, under which as of January 2018 nearly 1 lakh gram panchayats were covered under phase 1. More 1.5 lakh gram panchayats to be achieved by March 2019. Already the phase 2 is started. What is the main purpose of this Bharat Net? Bharat Net was launched in the year 2015 by Prime Minister Narendra Modi. So, the main aim is to provide broadband connectivity to urban and rural India, to connect urban and rural India. So, total 2.5 gram panchayats was being selected to provide internet as a basic entity, so that the village can update itself in providing the credibility of services to the people. It may be regarding the census of the people or regarding the documents of the people, that is regarding Aadhaar system or PDS, public distribution system, or the caste certificates or any land revenue certificates or any nativity certificates, etc., etc. So, all these to be achieved by 2019. The project funded by Universal Service Obligation Fund, so which was under Ministry of Rural Development. The total cost of the project Bharat Net project is 42,068 crores. So, actually this Bharat Net project was known as National Optical Fiber Network, which was launched by UPA government in the year 2011. So, this optical fiber network or optical fiber cables will be installed, okay, so across 2.5 villages or 2.5 gram panchayats, and this will be the largest broadband providing program or scheme in the world through optical fibers, okay, and it is implemented by BBNL, that is Bharat Broadband Network Limited. So, Bharat Broadband Network Limited is the organization which is installing the optical fiber cables to provide broadband to all the villages. This may be asked in the examination also. So, what is the expected speed to be provided by BBNL to under BharatNet project? So, it is 2 Mbps to 20 Mbps. And one more issue is Atal Pension Yojana. So, the scheme is Atal Pension Yojana. So, where it has reached a record of 80 lakh subscribers. So, this Atal Pension Yojana was launched on in 2015 by Prime Minister Narendra Modi on the name of ex Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee. So, with an aim of providing pension to the employees of unorganized sector or labor under unorganized sector. So, whoever save their money under National Pension Scheme of Atal Pension Yojana, so will get entitled to get a pension after 60 years. So, the minimum age required for Atal Pension Yojana is 18 years and the maximum age is 40 years. So, once they achieve the 60 years, nothing but senior citizen age. So, they are entitled to get a monthly pension of 5,000 rupees. So, a minimum of 1,000 rupees can be deposited every month, and they are entitled to get the pension of 5,000 once they attain 60 years of age, that is nothing but senior citizen age. Largest subscribers comes from Uttar Pradesh, where it is 11 lakhs 41,000, and the second one is Bihar, 8 lakhs 87,000 subscribers, and the third one is Tamil Nadu, where the total subscribers are 6 lakhs 60,000. So, the largest these three states, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar and Tamil Nadu, okay, where they have subscribed for Atal Pension Yojana on the name of Atal Bihari Vajpayee, the ex Prime Minister of India. Coming to the pension category, it is being regulated by PFRDA. In the examination, such kind of questions will be asked. So, who regulates Atal Pension Yojana? So, nothing but who regulates pension. For example, in the banking examinations, this question was asked, what is P in PFRDA? So, whether it is pension fund or provident fund. So, the answer is Pension Fund Regulatory Development Authority of India, which was established on 23rd August 2003 and headquartered in New Delhi and having a chairman Hemant Contractor. So, they work under the Ministry of Finance. So, there are like nearly 5 to 6 regulators under the Ministry of Finance, which controls the insurance, then banking, then pension, then stock market, mutual fund, etc., etc. So, PFRDA is one such regulator, which you should not forget, and P stands for pension. Okay. I am sorry if you think it is provident fund. So, it is Pension Fund Regulatory Authority of India. And the next one is government launches a new scheme to eradicate hepatitis C. So, frankly speaking, hepatitis C is an infectious disease which is not having a vaccine. No vaccine was discovered till today to eradicate hepatitis C. The government is launching a new scheme to provide treatment, a free treatment to the patients. So, nearly 1.2 crore patients are suffering with hepatitis C in India. So, the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare to roll out National Program for Control of Viral Hepatitis C, a new initiative to provide free treatment for financial year from financial year 2018-19. So, this hepatitis C is caused mostly by blood borne virus, which primarily affects the blood cells, then it affects the liver, causing liver cancer also. So, unlike hepatitis B, so which is sexually transmitted disease, hepatitis C is infectious disease caused, okay, by intaking of uncleanliness water, that is dirty water, or by taking the unhygienic food, or practicing unhygienic habits, etc., etc. So, due to which the blood is being infected and hepatitis C causes directly to the liver. And remember, there is no vaccine for hepatitis C. India not yet developed any vaccine for this, but it is providing the necessary free treatment. And coming to other one, like another disease like fever, typhoid fever. So, India has discovered a medicine, a vaccine for typhoid. So, the world's first vaccine, which is known as Tiber TCV. So, TCV stands for typhoid conjugate vaccine. So, this type bar TYPBAR, type bar TCV is the vaccine which is being discovered by India. So, this is the world's first typhoid vaccine developed by Hyderabad based Bharat Biotech. So, this is for global use, and also the World Health Organization recognized this vaccine as helpful to eradicate or cure typhoid, and typhoid is a serious fever caused in children to the adult from the age of 6 to 40 years. So, in order to protect themselves, this Tiber TCV vaccine can be given by the government from the year 2018-19, and also WHO promotes it globally. And coming to this World Health Organization, so which was established in the year 1948 as an agency of UNO, so which is headquartered at Geneva of Switzerland, and the Director General for WHO, World Health Organization, is Tedros Adhanom, so who was changed in the year 2017, June 2017. Earlier it was Margaret Chan, and this person, Mr. Tedros Adhanom, belongs to Ethiopia. So, he was a doctor, a philanthropist, and also politician of Ethiopia, so who was appointed as Director General for WHO, World Health Organization. And one more thing regarding science and technology, that is Pratyush. Pratyush is India's new fastest supercomputer, which was unveiled at Pune based IITM, Indian Institute of Tropical Metallurgy. The Pratyush was being developed with an aim to forecast the weather conditions and also climate change. So, this supercomputer Pratyush is helpful for India to forecast the earthquakes, tsunamis, any other disaster related issues, and then to monitor air quality in the atmosphere, as well as to analyze flood and drought conditions or drought hit areas in India, so that the government of India can provide or can take necessary actions on time. And this Pratyush is being developed and used by the Ministry of Earth Sciences. So, the Ministry of Earth Sciences is Harshavardhan. And the fastest computer in the world till today is Tianhe 2, which is developed by China. An interesting question here is, so supercomputers, the fastness of supercomputers are measured in the form of PF. So, remember PF means petaflops, 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 okay, is the measurement of the speed of supercomputers or computers. So, this is all about the national affairs. Okay, so, we will just come back and we will just also discuss some regional affairs here. Thank you.